Yes, sir.
Okay, maybe some network issues. So immediately we will
Yes.
join.
Yes.
So we are sharing again.
Yes, sir.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Visible.
So
Yes,
we'll
sir.
minimize this. We'll get to. Okay, so this is what is basically the thing. You know, all these factors, once you have the, I mean, I'll be sending this one today because we must complete the thing and then I send. These, which are the circles around, are the factors that influences a person, okay, a customer. Now, it may be an individual customer. It may also be a B2B customer. You know, like I was telling you that there are certain things that, I mean, a five-star hotel gets influenced by the brand because they, you know, of the fittings and fixtures, because they don't want their customers to think that they are not really. And then they try and do things according to various other, social norms. So there are family values, there are external environment, cultural influences, everything comes into. But the central buying process is first is a problem recognition. Now, we in the last lecture, we talked about WIIFM. So just before WIIFM, I must believe what is paining me or what's disturbing me or what is it something that I need to make my life a little more comfortable. So that's a problem that is being recognized. For instance, we go from a place to another place, and we believe that while taking a bus or a public transport, really delays us by 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And therefore, the problem recognition is that we need a vehicle. Okay. After we have decided that, then what vehicle? So we start finding out information about it. We start evaluating the information so that we get the best possible deal. Right or wrong?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah. Then the process of purchasing begins, which means we ask for people to quote to us. We ask for various other freebies or whatever facilities that they can give, etc., etc. And then we make whatever is the best possible deal that we can get. But that is not the end of selling. The end of selling is how does the customer finally feel? Okay, which means post purchase, does he feel good about it? Will he come back for it again? Okay, even in high value products, if you feel good about it, it is quite likely that you might repeat the brand. Okay? So this is the purchase process, and this exactly is the customer behavior, sometimes also known as customer journey. Right? Is this concept clear, or is there anything to ask?
Sir, this will vary depending on the product type also, no?
Yes, but in every product, in various ratios, this is there. Even if it is a B2B purchase, let's say if I want to buy cement to construct a house.
Correct, sir.
It is this last thing, post-purchase behavior, that will make me recommend to others. Or if I need to repair my house, it's quite likely that I might go in smaller lots for that same cement.
Yes.
Okay. So one good example is, you see, when we buy a vehicle, be it a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler, okay. Now, the general tendency for people to go for the same brand of, let's say, the tires that the OE original equipment comes fitted with. We tend to go with it because we believe they must have tested and therefore it is good quality. Okay. Now, if we get a bad treatment from the manufacturer of the tire, then it is likely that we start looking elsewhere. Is that clear to you, Dheeraj?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is, in short, in a nutshell, one diagram that tells you what the customer behavior is all about. Now, customer, to survive in the market, a firm has to be constantly innovating and understanding the customer. So it is that again, going back to this slide, these two will always be what sales constantly keeps in touch and provides feedback to the factory so that we are able to cater to their changing needs. Now, what really happens is that once we have started using something, okay, after a while, we kind of get used to it and kind of get bored. And then we say, I wish this was also present in it. Okay, that is how you get version 1, version 2, you know. Now, like for instance, it's what? iPhone 14.
Yes,
so
correct.
there are those small features which are picked up in the marketplace and is brought back to the company, and then that is added on as the next version. Okay, so it is extremely useful to exploit marketing opportunities and meeting challenges of the market. So it is extremely, I mean, the more information you can pick up and feedback to the company, it is easier for them to do things. It is important for marketers to understand the buyer behavior due to the following reason. One, the study of consumer behavior for any product is of vital importance to marketers in shaping the fortunes of the company. So if you take out a product, it might be technically the most advanced product, but it is too complicated to use. What are the chances that the customers will buy it? Sharmista, if you buy something and it is very complex to use.
Right, sir.
Would you repeat
We will
it?
not. No, I won't.
Yeah. So it is significant for regulating consumption of the goods and thereby maintaining economic stability. So if you study the customer behavior, then you are in a position to kind of regulate and understand at what frequency the product is going to be bought. Now, particularly since Dheeraj is in supply chain management, this is an important aspect for him because he must place the product at the right time, at the right place. Last time I gave you the example of if you are in the middle of the heat and it is hot summer, and if you want Coke, but it's not available, you don't wait for it, you buy something else, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It is important that distribution happens properly and is on time. It is useful in developing ways of more efficient utilization of resources. Now, today, customers give more importance on environmental friendly stuff. We all keep talking about green and health and organic foods, etc., etc. Okay, the growth of customer protection movement has also come. Now we have customer protection cell, and we can complain if there are some problems, and that can become a big issue statutorily and regulatory wise. But also, you know, sites like mouthshut.com, if you complain, people are reading that and people understand that, okay, this may not be the right product for them. Okay, so that is an important aspect where we have to make sure that the customer is satisfied. In fact, the words customer satisfaction is also now old. We are now talking in terms of customer delight. Both of you have, I'm sure, ordered online, right? From Amazon or any of these e-com sites.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They give you a date by which they will deliver, right?
Right,
Yeah.
sir.
In your experience, what is it? Do they deliver before time?
They deliver before time.
Yeah,
So,
before
The
time.
idea is to delight you. It's no more satisfaction. If they delivered on the day they committed, then you are satisfied because that was the commitment. But if they deliver before time, then you are delighted because you did not expect it. Okay. So many things are done to delight the customer so that he can stick with the company. Okay, like I said, customer tastes and preferences are changing. Now this is changing because, like I just said, that we get used to something and then we desire more. Now it is at that particular intersect that either the company comes up with something new or it runs a risk of losing the customer to somebody else. Because in competition, if you are doing something and I'm in competition with you, I'll have to try and do something better for customers to be attracted to me, right?
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
sir.
Therefore, we start educating the customer that look, this is the extra that we are giving you. Now, if you are giving that extra and I'm not, the tendency of the customer next time would be to go for that. You understand? So there are, like I told you, intrinsic and extrinsic perception of everything is what marketing is all about, which all selling is all about. So both are important. Do you understand intrinsic and extrinsic?
Yes, sir. Factors related to means product and consumer pattern, how they will purchase the
Extrinsic means outward. I can
correct.
smile and you can see it. But there are times when I'll just nod or just like it and I don't smile. But you can sense it that I'm happy. So the first one is extrinsic, which you can see it externally by observing. And the other one is like the eye movement or a body language, which the customer is not. Oftentimes, what happens is the customer desires something, but he doesn't know who to ask. You see, he's not a technical man. He doesn't understand the technology behind your product, etc., etc. Even in case of service, your capabilities. But he has a desire. Now, he's not able to express it. So when you're doing your marketing research, there are two aspects. One is the hard data, which you collect through questionnaires, and the other one is the soft data, which you collect through interview, where they might just give you that insight. Understand? And that is what this customer tastes and preferences are all about. Then a study of consumer behavior gives information regarding color, design, etc., etc. Okay, now this you can read, but basically, like I told you, that there is a new discipline coming up and coming up pretty fast, at least it's come already in the West. And some companies in India have already started using it. It's called neuromarketing, where just like, ECG, etc., like I told you, they put all the electrodes and see a customer's reaction. Okay, a typical customer reaction. When we do brand management, I'll tell you how a persona is constructed. Any questions so far?
Sir.
Sir,
Yes. Lady first.
No, sir, not yet.
Okay. Then Dheeraj.
sir, regarding the feedback for the customer, na, as you are telling that the company will take the feedback,
Yes.
so will they take all the feedbacks on priority, or that also depends on their marketing, means how they want to take the feedback.
The feedback, it's the sales job because that's where they are actually, the rubber is touching the ground. Okay, actually, okay, where the friction happens and the tire moves forward. So any small insight that you pick up must be fed back. And then what the marketing and also the rest of the company does is consolidate. Let's say you got a particular feedback which you think is new, okay, but it was only one person. Then it is not possible. But if there are several such feedback, not only from you, but from other executives also, then it is time for the company to think whether they can, how they can add that feature. Does that clarify things or?
Yeah, sir. Means the volume of the feedback and the repetition of something that will be considered and
Exactly. So now there are a lot of software available which keeps recording this. And basically they are able to kind of surf out the what should I say, the insights, and then the R&D team and everybody starts working around it. That's how new product development. Where does the new product development happen? Any of you? The
means
new
R&D. Yes, sir.
No, wrong. Sarvista, what about you?
No idea, sir.
Pardon me?
No idea, sir.
Okay. The new development happens in the market. It is from there. See, if you're making a product and that is not serving the needs and wants of a customer, no matter how much you put into it, how technologically advanced it may be, it will not be used. You understand? So there are so many products like that which have failed, not because of their quality, but because that was not the customer's need. Okay. So take, for instance, have you all heard of this phone called BlackBerry?
Yeah, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. It was gold standard at one time. All right. But the customers wanted more. And BlackBerry said that we are gold standard. We are not going to change. What's the story now? BlackBerry has disappeared. So it is that insights that are picked up that iPhone or even Samsung or OnePlus, they are able to quickly, translate that into action. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
So any more questions, Dheeraj?
No, sir. That feedback point was only there.
Sir, background में काफी sound आ रहा है, तो is there any problem with that, like fan?
नहीं यार, यहाँ पे पंखे का आवाज है और I can't do anything about it.
अच्छा, ठीक, no problem.
That's my problem. ये मेरे को ठीक करवाना है, टाइम ही नहीं मिल रहा है.
No problem, no.
एक मिनट देखता हूँ, मैं पंखा बंद करके देखता हूँ. Just give me a second.
Please continue with the fan, sir.
अभी भी आ रहा आवाज आ रही है अभी भी क्या? नहीं. So let's go to the next. So this is the era of customer engagement, which means that sales people will normally have to keep them engaged. Meaning, एक बार सामान ले लिया, तो relationship doesn't end. They must find new ways to engage. As you would have seen in most of these e-com sites, after you bought something, they use artificial intelligence and start giving you feedbacks on similar products or related products. Okay, so there is a concept called cross-selling and there is a concept called upselling. Cross-selling is basically unrelated product, but to the same audience. So you cross-sell, you want to buy this, you take this. Upselling is giving them some more expensive thing for the same, for the same kind of product. Okay, so that is the era now. I mean, when you go and buy somewhere, even in the shop, the shopkeeper would like to show you other things in the hope that he can entice you into buying some more. Is that understood?
Yes, sir. This is okay.
Yeah.
This is happening also.
Yeah. I mean, anywhere you go, even if you go to ordinary shop, he will tell you, have you seen this? Ye bhi dekh lijiye zara. This is the latest and all that. He's trying to first study you and see what you can buy. Okay. So how are companies engaging? Ek to tarika hota hai ki they shout at the rooftop, and it's similar to that example that I gave you last time, that you go to a restaurant and the waiter is standing and watching you on your head. How do you feel about it? You don't like it.
No. Yes.
Okay, you don't like it. You tell him that, okay, yaar, main order de raha hu, aap thoda humko dekhne dijiye. It's irritating you. So that used to be earlier way कि इतना चिल्लाओ कि लोग सुनने लगे, लेकिन अब वो उनके कान में लगने लगा. This is the result. They close themselves to your product, and that is why people, even if it is a little more expensive, people go to the mall where there is nobody to let them decide. Not because they value their privacy, but because they don't want to be unnecessarily disturbed. Okay. And over time, you will see, okay, when you need the help, somebody will come. But otherwise, over time, he's not walking around with you, sir, ye le lijiye, sir, wo le lijiye. Then you feel, awkward. Okay. So in the era of engagement, first thing is customer is king. So everything that makes customer happy and treated like a king must be done. There's a company called MRF Tires. Have you both heard the name?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So MRF Tires actually did this. In their offices, they made a throne kind of a chair and kept it at a particular height. Now, should a customer visit them, not the dealers, but a real customer, consumer, visit them, they would make him sit on that, and the chairs of all the executives, including the branch head or including the regional manager, was lower, just to give a psychological feeling that we are treating you like king, and then listen to his thing and try to solve it. Okay. Today, if you are, I'm sure all of you have been spammed by a lot of companies giving you a lot of detail. Now, that's not how you engage with the customer, because what do? We just take one click and delete it all once and for all.
Okay.
So the important thing is, the most important thing in selling is ability to listen before we speak, which means understanding what the customer is wanting, clarifying with him, which means oftentimes a good sales manager or a salesperson would rephrase to show that you are interested and you have got everything right before he presents a picture. So he rephrases the question, is this what you are looking for? Is this what you want? And you would see this also in some of these retail stores. Okay. Go to Chrome or anything, they will re-clarify. And then just being creative, just being attractive is not enough. It has to be more substantive. So this is you can creatively show a thing, or you can creatively write a thing. You can make a content which is creative. That doesn't, because so many companies are doing exactly that it doesn't attract the customer anymore. Okay. So you have to do something substantive, something which is, out of the beaten track. Okay. What do they say? Out of boxes, hatke, that kind of a thing. So that is a constant challenge that a sales manager has. The sales rep may not be that imaginative, although I have known salespeople who are very, very, very imaginative and on the spot, they do the things very well. Okay. So this is the era Now, why engage? To increase CLV. We just had discussed customer lifetime value. Any of you, would you remember what this is?
Means repetition of purchase from the same customer.
That's part of
The
the
same
answer.
customer.
Sharmista?
Yeah, sir, to have a constant interaction with the customer.
No, I told you some metrics we had talked about. One of them is customer lifetime value. That means it is calculated by his purchasing patterns that in his entire life, let's say we consider his lifetime to be 40 years. And then at a particular frequency he purchases or she purchases. So it is calculated that in the whole life, this is the kind of business I can get from this customer. So that is what is called CLV. This is a very, very, very important metric, particularly for FMCG or for clothes, very, very important. And therefore, let's say a Walmart kind of companies, they don't even ask questions if you want to return something. Because, when you go to the counter and tell that sales girl, that I don't want, I'm not liking it, I want an exchange. They don't give you money, but I want an exchange. She quickly looks at a computer and sees the lifetime value being projected. And the policy is that if that is a particular amount, then don't ask questions, do it. The idea is, what is the idea behind that? To delight the customer, to make him happy. And then to increase the value of the company delivers to the customer. Now, if you want something replaced and there are no questions asked, how do you feel about it?
Always feels good.
It would be good only.
Yeah. So therefore, that is the value. I mean, the fact that suppose I'm the company and I'm able to do that, then you feel a valued customer. When in olden times, one of the ways to quieten down tires, like I had told you last time, or any hyper purchase product, even a car itself, when the customer faces a problem, he is mentally quite disturbed and he's agitated and angry. One of the first things that you need to do, is to find a way to reduce his anger before you can reason with him. Okay, that is the thing, and that is where I have a thing against these, automated call centers. All of us have experiences. आप कतार में हैं, आपका कॉल बहुमूल्य है, आप थोड़ी देर और इंतजार करें, और फिर ढंग 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 कोई, a music which really hurts the ear. If I were the sales manager, that was the first thing I would stop. It is much better to get an engaged tone than to get into that. Recently in Pune, I had an experience where I was trying to call Safe Express. Okay. And that call center, because it was urgent, I said, okay, Jitna, for 1.5 hours, that music and this particular commentary kept on going, but I could not speak to them. Now, do you think I would ever go to them?
No.
So,
No.
and this is something which most companies are now doing because they feel technology can help them, which it doesn't. Okay. And, my feeling at that time was that there must be customer service executives, but वो छोड़ करके बैठे हुए हैं, अब यही चल रहा है. They are playing the fool, they are gone to have coffee or something like that. Now, that is an irritant which a company should try to avoid as far as possible. Okay. So here is the thing, the difference between B2B. So B2B is small and focused target market. So in a business to business this thing, there is one customer and he buys very large. and therefore the salesperson requires more time. So he probably in a month can service only 5 or 6. But in B2C, like fast moving consumer goods, there are many customers, and therefore there are many outlets. So there the interaction is fast paced. So in B2B, features for functionality, then educating the customer of the advantage. Here we are talking of benefits and those symbolic and appeals that can be there. Okay. B2B is mostly rational, though the last maybe 10-15% is still emotional. In B2C, it is mostly emotional, though we like to believe that whatever we do, we use rationality to decide. Okay. Then less selective, media consumption. They are very conscious. They will probably go to the trade magazines, B2B people, to understand whatever there is. Whereas in the B2C, we require many points where the touch points, so to say. So there will be hoardings, there will be maybe TV ads, there might be newspaper ads, and also on the point of sale, you go to the shop, there would be cutouts, etc., etc. So while in the B2B, there is a process by which the same process is there, but it is much longer because the buyer and the consumer are different, and then the person who pays is different. So it has to go through a process. Whereas when we go to buy, let's say, a toothpaste, do we need to take a quotation first? We don't do that, do we?
No, sir.
So that's the difference. Then B2B customers, normally what happens is that if you serve them well, they don't look for more vendors. They are happy, and then they'll only call you that, okay, so much quantity, please send it by such and such date, and matter ends there once you have made the entry. In B2C, the customer is very frivolous. He can, at the drop of the hat, shift somewhere else. And therefore, whatever can gratify them instantly, they will buy. Which means I'm using a particular, let's say, Colgate, and tomorrow I go to the supermarket or the mall or wherever, or a retail shop, and I see something attractively displayed, and I'm in the need for buying a toothpaste tube. I might just say, okay, let me try this once, right? So therefore, that is it. Okay. Now, in the case of B2B, you create a demand. You show the customer why it is needed. In B2C, the demand is happening all the time by itself. Any questions on B2B, B2C?
So only one thing is that touch points, when it is B2C, you mean to say that these touch points are nothing but the media promotions.
Not only media promotions, it can also be just a sales promotion. It can be the way your sales executive approaches them, and you will see a lot of companies now have got uniforms. A long time ago, no matter how hot sun it was, every sales executive was always expected to wear a tie. Okay, so but that was B2B. In B2C today, if you go to Maruti showroom, mall, you see that they are uniform, right?
Yes, sir.
The idea is total communication. We will come to that. We'll be talking about integrated communication. Then you'll understand what I'm trying to say. Any other question? But it was a good question, Samastha. I must appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other question, Dheeraj?
Sir, the marketing strategy will be totally different for these two sections, B2B and from a company perspective.
Let me understand. Let me explain this. Marketing is an overarching kind of function. Sales is a very important part of that. You may have a marketing strategy, but if there is nothing, no sales, then marketing strategy is useless, right? Okay. So marketing defines, like I told you, that marketing is like the Air Force. Okay. What do we use the Air Force for? For clearing the enemy resistance before the army, which is sales, moves in. Right. So, like I told you, that everything is perceptual. Okay. We buy things as we perceive, the way we perceive it. We like a particular color, we like a particular shape, we like a particular way in which we were dealt with. All that contributes to a product. It's not just the technicals or the hard product that matters, or a hard service that matters. How you were treated there. So that all that comes into the picture. Does that clarify thing, or is there a question?
No, sir, it's clear.
So this ends the first thing. I'll just shut this and start the next one. So up to now, we are clear about what basically selling is, what basically distribution is, what are the metrics, and why customer behavior is important for salespeople to know. Now we'll come to the next one. So this is the one we will take. Now here, today and tomorrow, we'll try and cover these. What is, say, definition there? Why sales and distribution is important? What is a sales strategy? What are distribution channel and therefore the strategy? How does a sales manager manage his team? Sales technologies that are now coming in. How do we measure success? The ethical part of selling, and this best practice is something which I would like you all to think about, and we will discuss this. This is not really going to be a lecture, and then we will conclude the session by tomorrow. Does that work for you all?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So here it is. The definitions are sales, the process of selling products or service to customer to generate revenue. That's a simple. And when you have given the product, you receive an order, you give the product. Until you have got the money, the sales is not complete. Until the revenue is generated, the sales is not complete. All right. Distribution is the strategic delivery of products or service from supplier to the end user or retailer. That's distribution. And therefore, you have channels of distribution. Sometimes they're also called channel partners. So basically, what does it mean? It is connecting products and customers, and the company selling and distribution provides a kind of a link between the two. And the most important thing, the reason for which companies exist is to generate revenue. So here are the components. We need to have a sales strategy, how we are going to do it. Always remember, in life or in business, there are 4 W's and an H, or 5 W's and an H. Can you tell me what are those? Okay, 5 W's is what do I want, or what do I need to do? When do I need to do? Why do I need to do? Who should be doing it? Where should he be doing it? All this put together, and then an H. How will he be doing it? If you're making any proposal, once you have answered to these 6 criteria, the chances of you coming out successful is nearly 100%. Okay, so that is what this is. Then sales team management, obviously you will have to keep an eye on them, train them, motivate them, etc. There are sales technologies that are involved. Then inventory and logistics is a very important thing. I mean, if you can't, then no matter how much sales you make, you know, the inventory costs will make you incur a loss. And then you need to constantly, whatever can't be measured, can't be, you know, it will always remain vague. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So these are the 6 factors that actually form the component of a sales and distribution strategy. Now, this is what is diagram: supplier to company to distribution to customer. This is how things move, mainly in the B2C sector, but also for a B2B sector. This thing happens. There is an element of distributor, but then direct sales are also made. So key role in revenue generation, connecting products and services with customer and meeting customers' needs. Now, revenue generation, the definition is sales and distribution directly leads to income by selling products or services effectively. Market access, the moment you start selling, you start expanding your access to the market. So you start, let's say, in Delhi or Gurgaon or any Chennai, and then you start looking for more and more opportunities. So that is what sales strategy is about. You know, how do you open up also the new markets once you are stabilized in one? And then customer satisfaction is how you manage. So all these 3 put together, sales and distribution should be able to give you a competitive advantage. Now, do you understand what is a competitive advantage, Dheeraj?
Yes, sir. As compared to competitor, we handle the market.
That's right.
In all the
Yeah. So sales and distribution sometimes can be the game changer. Take the example of soft drink that I gave you. You will find that if you don't reach things in time, or if you don't get enough order in a particular area, then you are going to lose sales to somebody else. Okay. Take any product, take an airline. If your timings are not right, you will lose to the competition. So effectively doing the sales and distribution gives you that superior unfair advantage. You know, unfair is not as in dirty terms, but it gives you an unfair advantage over the customers. Okay, so this is what generally the sales strategies and distribution strategies are all about. Now, sales strategy steps that we need to take, here are the things. First is knowledge of what your product is and how you're going to sell it. Then the market knowledge, whether that market can take it or not. Okay, if I want to sell, let's say, what product should I say? Let's say in the middle of a jungle, I open a 5-star hotel. Okay, and I don't promote it as being a tourist spot. What will happen? There is no demand. Or let's say I open let's say a Rolls-Royce showroom in a village. Will it work?
No, sir.
no.
So that is the thing. So you have to have market knowledge of where the demand could be. Then you have to have the knowledge of your own company, the strengths and weaknesses. Remember, we talked about the strengths and weaknesses of any company. Okay, what are my strengths, where I can be strong, what I can deliver to the customer better than others, and what are my weaknesses. Based on this, what could be the opportunities that are available to me? Now, Maruti makes a range of cars. Okay, Samsung makes a range of telephones. ITC makes a range of cigarettes. Okay, if you check with each of these companies, you will find that certain models are selling, let's say, more in Delhi NCR, but less in, let's say, Pune, okay, or maybe Jharkhand or Bihar. But there are some other models which are selling more in Bihar and less here. So that kind of knowledge must be there. The kind of customer we just talked about it, how they behave. And then this is the last one. What are the skills that the salespeople would be requiring to convert the customer needs into revenue? Okay. So these are the 5 elements. So that is as simple as that, market analysis. Based on that, setting objectives, which is also called targets. Then how you're going to do it. Tactics, you understand what tactics is? Fingers are called tactical, we can move. So you can say, okay, we'll go there and we'll have these things. But how you're going to do it there is the tactics. Okay, if a competitor does this, then what are we going to do? Immediately to ward off competition. And then obviously monitoring. So you have to set targets and be able to measure it. If it's not happening, what changes you need to do is adaptation. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now, these are how you do. Align with business goals. So the larger company has a business goal. Let's say they have a goal of reaching a turnover of 100 crores. All right. So sales will have to align itself. And then they will have to look at it. Okay, we'll get 50 crores from Northern India, 20 crores from Eastern India, 15 crores from Western India. And I mean, I'm just giving figures. But how will you decide that? How will you decide that what we need to do? Because the business decides at what level are they going to be profitable, or they will be brand leaders and therefore competitors can't attack them. So they decide that, okay, we get this kind of a turnover, then we will be recognized in the market. So how do you decide what should be the target region-wise, town-wise? How do you decide that?
The consumption pattern and all market analysis.
Exactly. So looking at the potential and looking at your strength, what can you get? Take the example of cement companies. Right. Now, cement is a highly logistic sensitive product. So you will find mostly the cement companies are strongest in a radius of not more than 200 kilometers. Sometimes when they are not able to sell, they go outside that, but they normally operate in around the factory 200 kilometer radius. Why is it so? That if the cement becomes too cold or goes through processes, then it kind of solidifies and the same quality is not delivered. Okay. You will also find restaurants. They will say, okay, we can cater to you at home, but in a radius of 3 kilometers or 5 kilometers. They won't. I mean, I'm here sitting in Gurgaon. A Delhi restaurant fellow will never say that I will cook you, cater to you here. Why? Because by the time food comes here, it will be very cold and it might just become tasteless. So you set up, according to all these factors, you set up the targets. Okay, in this area, you can sometimes say, okay, to do this, like let's say the restaurant case. No, the Gurgaon market is growing. So I need to be present there. And therefore, you will start either opening a franchise outlet or take your own outlet and start catering to people here. Take, for instance, how does, let's say, McDonald's or Smoking Joe decide how should they, go about it? What is their sales strategy? They obviously study a variety of factors based on those metrics that we have already talked about. And then they decide that, okay, now this place, that means we have got to open a store, else we lose sales. Okay. And that will not, therefore, the targets that have been set or the business goals that have been, that will be missed. Okay, so that all that is the job of a salesperson, sales manager. Then the targets have to be smart. Okay, what is smart? SMART. Specific, measurable. Okay, this is an exercise that I'm giving you all, and I'll ask you this question tomorrow. Then the next thing that we want to do is segment and prioritize. Now, what is a segment?
Means high value and low value by segment also.
Okay, that is one segment, but what is a segment? Segment is a portion of a whole, right?
Yeah, correct.
You have a circle, and if you break them into several, or let's say pizzas, you break them into 4 or 6, whatever, each one is a segment, right?
Yes.
Now, customers are amorphous. Okay, there are different types of customers. There can be, we talked in the earlier one, like DICs, double income, no group, no kids, or highly educated people, or rich, high net worth individuals. These are how, depending on your product, you segment them. And therefore you offer, I mean, you can't be offering a Maruti 800 to, let's say, Ratan Tata. He won't even look at it. Okay, he'll only politely, yeah, let me think about it and move away. But yes, you can show him a Mercedes. Whereas to, let's say, an entry-level executive, if you show him a Mercedes, he will not buy. So there are two segments. When we get into branding, we will talk about this also a little more. Now, depending on that, you start prioritizing. Now, how does prioritizing get done? It depends on what are the strengths of your company. You prioritize. So, last time, did I discuss it? I did, I think. Amitabh Bachchan was always known to be rebelling against a system. Okay, so whenever he appeared in a romantic movie, the film did not work well. So his segment, or the target segment, or the target audience, or the customers are those who want to watch how a system is torturing us. Okay, so if he wants to go outside that segment, then the chances of him succeeding is not there. He's a very powerful actor, but if it is in that segment, if he's in a romantic film, it may not work. If he's in a comedy, it may or may not work. If he's in some other genre of entertainment, it may or may not work. You understand? So obviously, if he has to choose, then he chooses the ones that look at the system and how it works. So earlier he was branded as a angry young man. Now he's no more angry, young, but he's still angry. And therefore you have low budget films like Pink doing very well. Okay. Similarly, for hard products, every product cannot be sold to everybody. That's a myth. If you think you make a product which is applicable to everybody, that doesn't happen. So obviously you segment and target only the segment which you can cater to and which must be also profitable. Okay, so for when it is to be profitable, you have to prioritize and pay extra attention to make sure that that product is going where it should go properly, and therefore the competition cannot attack you. Then obviously you, after you have done the segmentation, after you've set the target, you have to now measure how well did your strategy work. And that is where you have the KPIs. What is a KPI? I'm sure both of you are in corporate, so you know.
Yeah, key performance indicators.
That's right.
Yes.
So you set up. Why is KPI set up?
To monitor the progress and the targets being achieved
Yes.
across that.
So Yeah. So what really happens is that you cannot monitor minute by minute. So now there are dashboards available, which are essentially nothing but APIs. And therefore, you can look at that in real time. And if one of the indicator is showing abnormal behavior, either good or bad, then you can quickly go and analyze that and either correct the situation or get some insights as to how you can do more of that. Okay. And that is how you adapt your sales strategy. Any strategy, if it is just done on paper and left like that, is it's nothing. It's just a wish list. A strategy is a very dynamic document and must be reviewed as often as possible. In my case, when I was selling, I used to do that on a weekly frequency. Every week I used to look at the KPIs and look at it, because I didn't, in my time, all these software, etc. Today, a sales manager can do it almost daily, but it should be done. So what is a distribution channel? I'm sure Dheeraj should be able to educate us more.
So distribution channel just from starting from a manufacturer to the consumer. The channel in between is for the distribution only. It can be retailers also. It can be
distributors, wholesalers, our
Correct.
branch offices. That entire channel is a distribution
Channel.
channel. Yeah. So there are two: direct distribution, where the product is sold, like Bata has its own outlets. Bata also sells to others. So that's a direct distribution. Indirect is where wholesalers, retailers, etc. Is that clear to you, Sharmista, or any questions?
Yeah, it's clear, sir.
Okay. So how does the distribution strategy work? Again, the same thing. Like I'm sure Dheeraj, when he has to provide for logistic support, he looks at the market itself. This particular place would need a 9-ton truck all the time, and it must be ready and available every 15 days to reach the product where it wants to. This is a smaller market, and maybe Tata 407 would work. This is an even smaller market, and therefore Tata Ace would work. I'm just giving an example. Okay, so that analysis optimizes the cost of distribution. Okay, you don't send a 9-ton truck to just deliver 1 ton, right? Or in other words, you don't use an atom bomb where 0.22 would work. So that is the analysis logistics people do. Okay, for their MS, and therefore basis that you negotiate terms with the the transporters. Okay, you also look at, again, when you are analyzing, you look at what is competition doing, how is the market doing, and all that. Then you select channels. Now this is again distribution as a part of sales. What kind of distribution is necessary? Now let's say if Hindustan Lever wanted to sell closer, can they do direct selling? Both of you, or any of you?
No, sir.
Can?
No, sir. No, sir. They can't do direct selling.
Why?
Sir, because they are having a networks and channels available, and that can only to each and every locations only.
Network is built now, but the day, let's say, Hindustan Lever started, could they say that we will sell direct? It is impossible for any company, no matter how big the size, to reach every customer.
Correct.
Okay, so therefore they need middlemen, which may be wholesalers, which may be, and one of the roles of these people, wholesaler and retailer, is to constantly keep the company funded. When Hindustan Lever sells to a wholesaler, the wholesaler pays and owns the good, and then he further gives it to retailers who also pay. And so the company is kind of, so that is how you select a channel. What is the product? What is your revenue needs? And at what cash flow, velocity You need the money. Okay. Then it is important to manage the channel. There is a term called channel conflict. Okay, what could be a channel conflict? The word itself is quite self-explanatory, but I would like to understand from you all. Have you heard the term called omni-channel?
Omni-channel I haven't heard, sir.
Okay, what about you, Sir Mister?
No, sir.
Omni-channel means you are selling through a variety of channels. It could be direct sale, it could be sale through retailers. The wholesaler themselves also act as retailers. You can go to the e-com route. You have these modern retail outlets. Now, each of them can conflict. I mean, let's say a retailer is selling at an MRP of $100. And you from direct sale say that dealer's margin I don't need to give. And therefore, let's say 20% I give off from my end. The dealer will feel cheated because he can't make money, right? So a sales manager's biggest challenge is always to manage this conflict. Sometimes the wholesaler is not able to sell, so he starts cutting on dealer margin and starts selling directly himself. कहते हैं ना हम लोग कि होलसेल के दुकान से खरीद लो यार सस्ता पड़ेगा.
Yes,
Don't we
sir.
talk?
Yes, sir.
So that's a channel conflict, and that usually is a big headache for every salesperson and for the manager definitely. Now, also what happens is, let's say Delhi is a big market where margins are lower, and let's say take a small town. Which small town can we pick up? Bulandshahr. Naam to Buland rahe na. It's a small town where turnovers are low. So the dealers or retailers there would like to sell at MRP because they have limited turnover. Whereas in Delhi, they would rather sell on turnover and therefore make money lesser in terms of percentage, but overall a lot. So that again conflicts. Okay. So obviously the retailer in Bulandshahr will, probably fight with the sales manager कि यार वहां पे आप उसको बेचने देते हो इतने कम में तो मैं कैसे जिंदा रहूं. So the resolution of these conflicts, I'll give you one international conflict. Now Oman is a smaller market and Dubai is a re-export sector. So Dubai works only on turnover and the margin or of profit being maybe 2% to 5%. Whereas Oman requires at least 20% for a dealer or a wholesaler to be profitable. So what happens is that, people bring products from there, even after paying that 5% is a duty, they are still able to buy cheaper and sell it here. So the companies here, the companies are hit. They'll say, abhi to I can't buy, we are overstocked. Whereas actually the goods have been brought from Dubai. So that becomes a problem. And then eventually it is a matter of inventory and logistics. Now, if the inventory is too much, then cost per unit automatically because of your overheads and interest goes up, right? Do you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And logistics, we just talked about it, that for every time you have to send 1 ton, you are hiring a 9-ton truck. Okay. Then you are paying much more per unit.
Yes, sir. We have to pay higher price.
Yeah, and that is the biggest challenge in supply chain management or logistics.
One of the major challenges.
Yeah, and I mean, you're constantly, one of the major, I'm saying, but you are constantly fighting that thing. How can you reduce the cost there? And you are constantly under pressure from not only sales, marketing, but the entire company to look for a cheaper and more efficient method of selling. I mean, dispatching goods.
Transporting, yeah, sir.
If you recall, a few months back, in Himachal, Adani's had bought Ambuja Cement and they've shut the plant, or I think ACC, and they've shut the plant because the transporters were not willing to reduce the price. And like I told you, cement is a very logistic sensitive product where आप क्या सीमेंट में क्या मिट्टी तो बेच रहे हो, तो मिट्टी की तो कीमत ज्यादा नहीं होती, उसकी थोड़ी बहुत प्रोसेसिंग होती है, कॉस्ट जो असली होता है that is transportation. Now if the transporters ask huge sums, then no matter what you do, you will not be competitive in the market. Okay, so in companies like or products like cement, or for that matter soft drinks, if your logistics is not competitive, then no matter what you do, your selling will not happen. And that is why you will see that such companies usually end up with having their own fleet. Okay, Coca-Cola, sometimes it outsources sometimes, but more often than not, you will see their trucks delivering. Okay, so that is why these are the things that needs to be looked at. Now, the distribution network design is an important thing. Where to place what? So it doesn't make sense if you have two side-by-side shops, wholesalers, and just a wall separating them. There will be obviously a channel conflict. So you will have to plan out how to place distributors and retailers. The proper kind of distancing, the proper kind of study of the market decides that. McDonald's, Pizza Hut, all these people first do that. Take petroleum companies. They keep a certain distance. There is a policy decision taken that every pump of their company will be at such and such distance, or it also so much distance from the competitor. Okay, so those are things that needs to be there. But if that distance is such that there is no customer, so there could be, like for instance in a petrol situation, there's a very busy traffic, so you may have two petrol pumps of the same company because the volume is very high and one particular outlet cannot take in the volume. Okay, so you don't want crowding, you don't want all that, and therefore you might have that particular norm of 1.5 kilometers, you might change to, let's have a pump every half kilometer. Okay, all that needs to be taken so that the customer is able to reach and do so conveniently and buy. Okay, and you don't encourage any kind of channel conflict. Technology is everywhere, so obviously now sales, Salesforce, and there are so many other software that have come which will give you almost real-time information. Any sales manager is going to be helped. Then of course, when you've got technology, you have to tell the technology how are you going to measure the performances on various criteria. We have already talked about those metrics. And then basis this, what are the feedbacks and how do you need to adapt to the changing market situation? So a robust distribution strategy that ensures products or services are delivered efficiently to the target audience while maximizing profitability and customer satisfaction, that's the competitive advantage. And therefore distribution now is so important that it has become a separate subject. Supply chain management is a subject by itself. See, it emanates from this sales and distribution. Okay, now supply chain management has taken both upstream and downstream. They also look backwards from the vendors and they look forward to the distributors and other channels of distribution. Okay, any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, now we will talk about the sales team. This is the most important. The most important factor in any business is the human being. And why is it so? Yeah, even I need some motivation from you people.
Yes. Yeah, sir. It is critical, sir. Means whatever the technology comes, it is to be controlled by the persons only. And whatever the strategy is to be maintained, it is to be through the people only.
Remember one thing, all the other, you need a machine, you need money, the 3 M's of business, and you need manpower. Machine and money do not have emotions. Okay. Whereas manpower, so the salesperson that you have under you, usko ghar mein jhagda ho gaya, so he is in a foul mood and he's expected to sell. What will happen? So a human being can completely change the whole picture. And therefore, it is important, and the recruitment is not only an HR job. The final recruitment has to be done by the sales manager for the sales team. And why is it so? Because he is supposed to see whether the new recruit, he might be, topper in IIM. But if his attitude does not fit your company culture, he's useless. Okay. So how you are selecting and how you are recruiting people could make a lot of difference. Then to ward away these, these fluctuating moods, what can be done? If you train somebody so much that it becomes his second nature, then even if he's in the foul mood, he'll behave like that. This is what they do in the army. When it's peacetime, the soldiers are training again and again and again and again and again and again, so that when they go into that dangerous situation, they almost instinctively do that. Therefore, continuous training. Now, the difference in the army and here is, in the army, the training is based on simulation. Here it is happening in real time, and therefore the sales manager has to keep in touch to find out what is the sales team lagging and where is the training need, and then he needs to go and tell HR to find some people who can train them to the point that it becomes their second nature. The important thing again is, from the sales manager's point of view, is that the goals are very clearly set. Okay, it's ideally a black and white situation where you are transparent and the salesperson knows that if he does not perform this, he's done it well or he's done it badly. Okay, a sales manager obviously is the leader, therefore he must kind of find ways to motivate. And often it is not. I mean, incentive is one way that we say, monetary incentive. It's archaic now. The new generation like you all just don't look only for money. There's respect, there is, recognition of your expertise. All that, the way it is put across by a sales manager makes all the difference. And obviously, a good leader is one who can lead by example. Have you heard the concept of, I teach leadership also, concept called servant leadership?
Sir, can you repeat, sir?
This is a concept called servant leadership.
No, sir.
So,
You've heard, Sarvista?
no, sir, no.
Okay. Servant leadership is a leader who actually leads not from the front, but from behind. This is a very basic way of explaining it. What he does is, he encourages his team to move forward and gives them all the possible credit. But if there are some bad times, then he takes most of the flack. It's not as if the others don't, I mean, his team doesn't, but he takes most of the flack. This is a concept called servant leadership. Okay. A good sales manager is one of those people. Okay. He always makes sure that the team is kind of taking initiatives. which actually he's directing from behind, but he takes it. I'll give you from my personal experience. Normally, क्या होता है कि sales people are given incentive after they have achieved a target or whatever. It may be target, it may be how many people contacted. They're given an incentive, right?
Yes, sir.
When I was working for a battery company, I turned that around, and thankfully I had management supposed to take that risk. What I told them that we will give this incentive in advance and take their commitment. Okay. So what we did was we said, okay, there is a 3-day company paid holiday for you and your family. And we of course said we kind of camouflaged it as a conference. But I just say there is a single point contact. So far we were selling X number, which was 3,000 batteries a month. From you have 1 month to prepare, and we have got to sell 10,000 batteries a month. All right. And then I said, you see, all the eats are there. We booked a whole hotel in a small hill station called Matheran. And I said, now this is the 1-point agenda. Now I'm sitting in my room. Okay. You can take your family out wherever you want, and keep this in mind. If anyone has any difficulty, then they can come and discuss, and we will try and sort out the problem. Okay. And it worked. There were some people who had registered कि अब 3 गुना बोल रहे हैं ऐसे 1 महीने में थोड़ी होगा ये वो. Everything happened. We cajoled them for 3 days, and then we went back into action. In case of married executives, the wife liked it very much, the way it went about it, and they saw the pressure that their husbands and the whole team was undergoing to do that. So I started getting calls in the midnight. Sir, how far has my husband reached? Or how far has my brother reached? I started getting calls from home. How is my son done? And I would say, nahi, abhi thoda agar aur kar leta to bahut acha hota hai. And there was a total involvement of the entire family just because of that incentive. Okay. And we did that 10,000 batteries. Okay. And that is in the second most potential area of Western region. The most potential area for almost anything is the northern region. Okay. Then southern region, then western region, then southern region, and then obviously the eastern region. This also has some links with the economy. But we did 10,000, and the largest region could not even touch 3. So you see, at that time, what I was doing was actually elevating them that you mean a lot to us, and so does the family. And that made them work. I did not give them any extra money. You understand what I'm trying to say, Dheeraj?
Yeah, sir.
So they liked that respect, and what happened that the family also liked the respect. In no company they have a kind of motivation company party, jahan jaake, thoda daru waru piyo, thoda hasi mazak karo, thoda khana wana kha ke aa jao. Here it was go have a holiday, and it was not done on any holiday. It was on company time. We went on a Monday, we returned on a Thursday. It was on company time. So they realized that, okay, my family is being valued. My mother is taken care of. My wife is taken. My children also are taken care of. So we made sure of small things. And children, we took care. Okay, they are toddlers. They will need this kind of toy. They'll need football. Ye sab wah tha. In that hotel, we made sure of all that. So that they were now not working for achieving a target. They were working for the honor of their family. Okay, they couldn't go back to their family and say that we will fail or we couldn't achieve it. And believe me, over and above that, the company was running a nationwide, incentive policy. Okay, where in every other region, 2 or 3 of maybe 10 sales guys made it, and the rest didn't. In the case of Western region, without exception, everybody made it. So the moral of the story I'm saying is this is the sales manager's job to know his team and see what makes them tick. In my case, that team was ticking because of the family, and I saw, because I used to make sure a sales manager or every manager should make sure that he also meets the family and understand and empathize, which is where I discovered, okay, this is a opportunity that I can kind of use, and I did. You get what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right, sir.
So here is a diagram that define what successful team looks like in your business. These are the 5 points that you, when selecting and when retaining people, you must measure on these points. Where does your team stand and what you need? That's where you will also discover training needs, and otherwise also how do you need to interact with them. Now, these, again, this is a little bit of training and development. First is skill enhancement. Like I told you, in case of army, they train and they train and they train and they train until it becomes a second nature. Then individual needs, so you have to adapt. This guy can't be good for this, but he's good for that. So you kind of customize programs. Then practical learning, a salesperson or a distribution manager goes out into the market and sees the difficulty, then says, okay, let's address this difficulty like that. Market relevance तो almost है ही, उसका क्या बोलना है? Performance improve कैसे हो सकता है? That is again a matter of discussion. How would you measure? Now, there is a concept called management by objective, MBO. So, management by objective is when the target is set. Okay, that is done jointly. I don't do it on my own. I sit down with my salesperson and taking all the thing into account, I set a target which should be a slight stretch. See, it's simple. I can probably lift 25 kilos without difficulty. If you give me a little incentive, I might even go for 30. If you give me a lot of incentive, I'll go for 40. But if you ask me to lift 100 kilos, I'll not even attempt. So MPO is actually that kind of thing, where the discussion happens, the pressure is put. Like when I said 10,000, I was prepared for those 3 days to discuss and find out difficulties as to how to do it. Okay. And they went charged saying that we can do it. Okay. Then obviously innovative ways. Now innovation, what is innovation? Can you tell me?
Sir, innovation, what?
Anything that is, yeah, go on.
Yeah, something new which has not been done before.
Exactly. Now it may be a product, it may be a change in the system, anything that is not been done before and makes it more effective and efficient. That is innovation. So if you can develop that, somebody tries, your salesperson tries something and it is working, then encourage him to think like that. Encouraging your sales force, because the market is dynamic, it's ever changing. So if you allow your salesperson to think innovatively or to think out of boxes, oftentimes it is successful. If it fails and you start blaming him, why did you do that? What happens is that the team starts folding up, and it is also true for distribution. Instead, if you sit down with him and say, okay, what could have gone wrong? Okay, and try to analyze and say, okay, now let's do it this way next time. You already know what he did wrong. But if he discusses and you make him see things objectively, he's highly unlikely to repeat it, and he will try another method to succeed. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So these are the 6 elements that comes in a sales training program. First and foremost, sales training programs are to restructure or rearrange a mindset. See, when we are facing the heat, there is always an opportunity, there is always a way in which we become resigned to the fact ये तो ऐसा ही चलेगा. Okay, ये boring है यार, ये हम लोग कुछ भी कर ले ऐसा ही होने वाला. So the first thing that a sales training must do is, by when you are giving a training, how can you remove the pessimism and set an optimistic mindset? Then understanding the prospects of doing that. If you are able to change, what can be achieved? Then introducing it into your sales process. And that's where, when the sales training is done, you have to tell them that, okay, at this portion, this is the sales process. This is where this will come in handy. So, and then you encourage discussion as to how the salespeople themselves can do it. Okay, then obviously assess how much. Once you have trained, you must again measure whether the training has worked at all or no. Oftentimes, companies have training which are more like a paid holiday. You go there, sit through some seminars, some workshops, eat, drink, and make merry, and come back and forget it. Now that will never give you a result. Okay. Then market and introduction to whatever is happening new, and of course, playing games related to the product. Then what are the benefits? It obviously increases the ability of salespeople to close more deals. It increases, obviously, if they are able to close more deals and faster, then obviously margins improve, because that much expense, I mean, let's say the salary of a person is 30,000 rupees and he works all 30 days. Then it is 1,000 in a day, right? Now, in that day, every day he should ideally meet 10 customers. That means 100 rupees per customer. But if he is stuck with one customer and he only meets 8, then your cost per call goes up by 20%. Okay. Usi tarah se, once these things are taken care of, the more he is able to perform, and the biggest motivator or the biggest success, or rather the motivation, is succeeding. When he sees he's winning, he wants to win more. Okay, it's true for you and I also. And obviously when he's winning, then he doesn't want to leave the company because he's being seen here as a winner. So that should be the objective of sales training. Now, what is the role of technology? First is efficiency. Second is picking up the insights, which we just talked about. Third is how can customers, now when you are picking up the insight, now artificial intelligence can pick up that this kind of customer or this category of customer buys like this. Then it is possible for you to communicate, whether through ads or whether through pictorials, or whether through how your salesmen communicate. It is possible to engage the customer. Sales automation is simple because then you are able to kind of manage the data very well, and whatever reports have to be done. And remote selling is then possible, which is basically the e-com. Customer data management, these are the things that happen. Relationship building, sales forecasting can happen, automation and personalization. These are some of the things that the customer management, relationship management is supposed to do. Sales automation is obviously about process streamlining. This is more from the point of view of distribution, lead management. Okay, people have shown interest, and now you need to reach. Email marketing, analyzing the data which is there and then discovering new insights, and of course a consistency. This diagram tells you exactly what it does. When you receive the PPT, you will be able to study it more. Now, the key performance indicators that become is return on investment. That is the first important thing in business. Customer satisfaction score. Now, many places you must have seen a question. I go to a restaurant or even airlines or sometimes even online. You've used this, please rate us. So many people rate, and there is a pattern usually that emerges, which will tell you whether that product is what exactly the customer is looking for, or you need to tweak it. Inventory holding cost is another very, very important thing. Normally, inventory holding cost is measured in number of sales days. So how do you calculate number of sales days? Total sales made in a month, let's say 3,000 rupees, divided by, let's say the month has 30 working days, divided by, so every day the sales is worth $1,000 on an average. Now look at the way your inventory is moving. If it is moving at the rate of 1,000 rupees per month, then your inventory is optimal. If it is moving at only 800, then the chances of your cost going up per unit is going to be extremely high, and you will become unprofitable. Lead time, again, is a very important thing, which I'm sure Dheeraj will. How much time it needs to reach the product to the customer. Now, lead time works both ways. From your vendors, from your suppliers, you take something. So you take a lead time from there, and then you calculate the lead time of production, and then how much time logistics takes to reach, or transportation takes to reach a particular place. Any logistic sensitive product will be very, very sensitive to this. Order cycle time. Now, order cycle, what is an order cycle?
Sir, getting a request and giving it back to the customer.
Yes.
Start from.
Exactly. So that is one. And then on that basis also, you also study, particularly in FMCG, you study the frequency of purchase. Okay. You see the frequency of purchase, and you may have, those units. Okay, 250 grams. These are called the, see, I'm forgetting the name. These are called the standard, I'm forgetting the name. I'm sorry, I'll tell you tomorrow. But it is how many of 250 grams tea packets go, how many 150 gram go, how many 1 kg grams. So, and at what frequency they go. Then the logistics person or the supply chain person is able to prepare, okay, this truckload will consist of this much and this much and this much. Okay, and it will be dispatched.
Optimize packing. Correct.
No, it's,
okay,
it's called some units here. I'm forgetting. I'll give you, okay. I don't know, sometimes I get these mind blocks, but I'll give you the name tomorrow. Then channel performance, obviously there are omni-channel, different channels. Which one is more profitable? So it will help the salespeople to prioritize them. Now, channel performance reports usually will help you. Suddenly you'll see that maybe the retailers, they are stagnant. They are buying 100 units this month, and for the next 6 months or last 6 months, they only bought 100. However, the malls were buying 50 and now they've gone to 500. This means to say that if you direct your energy, I mean, you're not going to give up the retailers, but if you direct your energy to these supermarkets, you might be able to get a better share of the market. Similarly, you might find that online sales are suddenly jumping. Then you would say that, okay, then my logistics or supply chain department has to gear up. And then customer churn rate. Okay, like I told you, the customers can be very frivolous. They might like to buy your product now. 2 months later, like we did, that 77% of the products fail. So that churn rate, if you can know that, okay, if I introduce this product and over the 6 months, so many new customers came and so many old customers left, then that brings out the churn rate, and therefore you are in a position to kind of project what would be the fate of that product, and therefore the company can then prepare whether they want to stay in that product or not. Okay,
Yes,
is this clear?
Yes, sir, it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then sales metrics are, of course, revenue metrics, conversion, how many customers you approach and how many convert to actual buying, sales cycle duration, how much time it takes that we just talked, customer acquisition cost. This is a very important thing. The cost of acquiring one customer. It is statistically said that a repeat customer, if he costs you 1 rupee, a new customer costs you maybe 10 rupees. This is a research fact. So basis this customer acquisition cost, oftentimes a lifetime value can also be calculated. Sales pipeline matrix. Now, what is a sales pipeline? What's a pipeline in the first place?
Sir, orders anticipated to come in the next quarter or next.
Exactly. So pipeline is something in which like water flows or oil flows. So a flow of customer. So there is something known as a sales funnel. Okay. So if we, I mean, your course doesn't have it, but I'll tell you. There is a method by which selling is done. It's called SPANCO. SPANCO. So first, let's say you come into the market, you come to Gurgaon, trying to sell any product. Name a product. Sharmista, you are the lady, you must name.
So mobile phones.
Okay. So I'm here to come and sell a mobile phone. So everybody who I meet is a possible customer, right?
Yes. Yes.
So therefore, I can say he can be suspected as a customer.
Yes.
Okay. Then I find out that, okay, my phone costs 20,000 bucks. Not everybody can afford 20,000 bucks. Is that a possibility?
Right.
Yes.
So then what will I do? I will now segment people who can afford to pay 20,000 bucks for a mobile phone.
Right.
Yes.
Now there could be another set of people who want to buy a phone worth 1 lakh. They would not go for 20,000. So I will now clearly define. Now, once I've clearly defined, these are my prospective customers.
Yeah.
Okay. Then what do? I approach them. So first is suspect, then prospect, then approach. Okay. When you approach a customer, remember, it is the birthright of every customer to bargain, to negotiate. So I will negotiate the terms. चलो साहब इसके साथ ये freebie ले लो, ये कर लो, वो कर लो. So that is negotiation stage. Okay.
Yes.
Once that is finalized, the customer is supposed to have got converted. So that is the C. Okay. He is okay to buy it, and then finally he makes he places an order, which is the O. And then the last one is SPANCOP is the full model when he pays. This is the sales model which every sales manager must study relative to each market, and then work upon his sales team to act accordingly. Understand? So that is what this whole thing is about. Now, here are the common challenges, and this will be the end today, I think. What are the common market saturation? There, have you heard of this thing? There is a blue sea strategy and a red sea strategy. Have you heard these two terms?
Yeah, sir.
Okay, what are they?
Sir, in a Red Sea strategy, it will be a means competitive market. The prices will keep on going down and down and down. So something like that will keep on going. And
And
in the
blue
blue
sea strategy? Yeah.
Blue sea strategy, you will be only left out. The only couple of team members are there. You are having a market share, and so you can easily make a more profitable kind of a business.
Yes,
Blue sea strategy.
you are right. So, simple way of understanding it is, let's say there is a pond, okay, and there is only one fish, or there is sea and there is only one fish, and there is enough food for that fish to consume forever. So he swims, the fish swims around, eats his food, relaxes, enjoys his life. It's in the blue sea. But same place, now hundreds and thousands of fish come and the food available is just so much. What will happen? They will start killing each other. And that blood will turn the sea into red. Right? So market saturation is a Red Sea kind of a situation. How do you, and every company would like to operate in blue sea. We don't, no company likes competition. If we can, why no company, no individual likes competition? So if you can do away with competition, so how can you do away with competition? By differentiating yourself, by being different. So your unique selling propositions and your value-added services can make all the difference. I would like, this is an exercise when we meet tomorrow. Quote me an example of somebody not being able to do it and somebody who has a unique selling proposition and or has done so by adding some value to the product or service. There is customer resistance always. All of us, even if we go and buy, potato in the market, we always are a little mistrustful. Okay, so क्या करते हैं हम? We take the potato, we touch it, we feel it, फिर उसको दबा के देखते हैं कि quality ठीक है कि नहीं. When it's only a 10-15 rupees thing. So any product that you sell, it is the customer's right to resist. Now, how do you handle that? By training. How to handle the objections that may come. Okay. Then seasonal fluctuation. Now, many products have a season. Let's say, are you aware that tires have a season? Car tires?
Yes, sir.
Car tires sell most when?
Before the rainy season.
Exactly. But the truck tires sell when? They sell during summers.
During summers.
Okay. Now, what happens in winters then? The sales fall. So the production and everything can't be uneven. The factory is going to produce a certain number, and the company would like to produce month after month. So what could be the way to do it? Okay, I'll give you an, you come up with some product which uses the same machinery, but manufactures something else which sells in that off season. Now, for example, cement, because of rains, it spoils. So cement sales go down. The retailers are not willing to buy, the contractors are not willing to buy, because where do they store? But are you aware that the same cement plant can be used to make fertilizers, which will be required during monsoons? Okay, so many companies during that time halt or reduce cement manufacturing, or in fact, they halt. In summers, they make extra and keep for just servicing the market. But their main concentration for the rainy season goes into manufacturing, this fertilizers, because it uses the same machine. Similarly, for tires, when tires are selling, then some other product, for instance, oil, engine oil, may not be selling so much. It sells more, let's say, in winters. So a dealer would normally try to keep both. Or during winters, a battery fails. Battery failures happen during winters. So a tire dealer would also keep battery to stay in the market and to keep the business kind of alive and the graph steady. Then inventory management, of course, you can't do so. Obviously, use data to forecast and be as accurate as possible. Inefficient processes. Now, this can only raise the cost unnaturally and therefore, cause your product to be more expensive, or it does not get somewhere in time and you lose sales. And then changing customer behavior. How do you combat that? By being adaptable, by sensing those, getting those insights, those inner feelings, and building it into your product. So any questions?
No, sir, from my side.
Okay. But tomorrow I'm going to ask you for that example. And okay, they are called SKUs. I was telling you, those are, Dheeraj would know, they are called stock keeping units. So maybe it is E, but 100-gram packet is one stock keeping unit. 200-gram packet is another stock keeping unit. 1 kg packet is another stock keeping unit. Okay, this is very important for supply chain point of view. As if there are too many, then also management of that becomes a problem and often raises the cost. So what companies try to do is maybe they give up some of the sales and increase in the fast moving stock keeping units. Okay, now sales forecasting. You want to do it today or you want to do it tomorrow?
So tomorrow we can do.
Yeah, so tomorrow we meet at 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
Yeah, yes, sir. 10 o'clock.
Okay, so we'll stop it because this sales forecast is a little longer. And if we don't finish it one session, then it will not carry over. Not one exercise that you have to give me, both of you, think of a product group where a unique selling proposition is making a product sell. You understand what is a proposition, right? Dheeraj,
Voice was coming.
proposition is a proposal, is a submission. Why you should? So you must have a unique selling proposal for the customers to buy. So think of a product which offers a USP that the customer gets, attracted to. And think of a product where USP would be equal to anybody else, but they give some service either after sales or during sales or before sales to tracks. Okay.
Value added service.
Yes, some kind of a value add to that service, that particular service or product. Okay, so we'll begin tomorrow with that, and then we'll talk about sales forecasting and why should it be done.
Right,
Okay,
sir.
Have a good dinner and sleep well.
Thank you, sir.
Same to you, sir. Thank you.